Welcome back to Code Hive, the place where we make it work, make it right, and make it fast. So I'm so excited. Actually, I feel like I'm always very excited to just, record a new video. It's really exciting, and I'll forever keep saying I'm so excited for this video. But yeah, I'm so excited for this video because I'm going to show you guys how to work with constraints. So in the previous video, I've shown you guys how to create a simple table as well as insert data into the table. I also showed you guys two ways in which you can run statements in a script. I also showed you guys two ways in how you can view your table, right? That's in your database and all the columns and all the data. So for this video, the first thing that I'm going to show you guys is how to create a table. And then we're going to insert data into the table, and then we're going to create another table that will consist of all the constraints. Okay, so first things first, right? Creating the table. Okay, so if you just open up your Oracle SQL developer, then this is where you'll land. And in order to open a file, then you're just going to select File, and then you're going to say Open, and then you're going to select your location. So I saved mine over there, and I called it Table SQL. Okay, then it will open. So that's the table that we did in the previous video. So if you still haven't watched that video, then please do watch that video. Okay, so now I'm going to create another table. So it's the same thing like this. It won't consist of any constraints. And then the other table that we're going to create will consist of constraints. Then I'll show you guys how to reference and everything. Okay, so the first table that I want, well, the second table that I want is customer table. Okay, so like I said, after every statement, the reason why it's erroring out, let me just make this, okay. So the reason why it's erroring out over there, I don't know if you guys can see the little red line underlined over there. It means that there's no semicolon at the last statement that we had. So please make sure that at every last statement that you have, you indicate your semicolon. Now you can see that the error is gone. Okay, so create table. So let's call this table customer table. Okay, so this will be literally the same as what I had for my product table. It's really just similar. Okay, so we're gonna have customer ID, which I want it to be a number data type. So again, if you still also haven't watched my video where I talk about data types, then please do that. Okay, so not null, a primary key, and then we have company name. I'm going to use a varchar data type. So see, varchar 2, and I want a length of 30, not null. Okay, and then address, varchar 2, also 30. Okay, so I want you guys to actually let me know, because I'm actually seeing that you guys in all the videos that I've shown you guys, or well, yeah, basically in all the videos, then I'm using not null. Okay, so if you guys don't understand the concept of not null or null, then please just email me. If you don't understand the not null, then I suggest that you please leave a comment in the comment section, or just email me and let me know, and I will be sure to upload a video if necessary so that I can explain, because you might not be the only person who does not understand the difference when you indicate not null, or if you don't indicate that and you just probably just leave it like that. Okay, so just let me guys let me know what you guys think. Oh my word. Okay, so now that we've created our table, then we're going to run the statement. I've shown you guys how to run. So really, if you have not watched the previous video, the first create table video, then please do watch it. It will make sense. Okay, so After we run it, it will just complete, and you go back and it will say the customer created. Okay, so now we want to insert data in that table. So insert into, and then your table name, values. So okay, and then the company name, just want to say Samsung devices. So like I said, I'm just making these values up, so don't be shocked, basically. So address, and then we have email, just gonna say gmail.com. Okay, and then you close, and then you semicolon. Do not forget semicolon each and every single time. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy that and I'm gonna paste it over here, and I'm just going to change some of the information. So let's call this Android Heaven. It's pretty a stupid name, but you know, whatever gets the job done, as long as you guys are understanding what I'm talking about, then that's cool. Okay, and then let's say let's just leave it at gmail.com. Okay, so again, I'm going to select those two statements and I'm going to run it, and it's been inserted. Okay, so that's the first table. So you can see it's pretty much the same as the one that we did in the previous video. Okay, so the second thing that we're going to do is we are going to create another table, but now we are going to use constraints. Okay, so you have noticed that in the previous videos we just said primary key, and we just said primary key. In the previous tables, I meant to say, we just said primary key, right? So now what happens if you want to have another table, right, that has foreign key constraints, that has foreign keys basically? So if you want another table but you want it to also have customer ID, but in this table customer ID is primary key, that means in that table it's supposed to be the foreign key, right? So how do we do that? How do we indicate that, and how do we reference that? Okay, this column is a foreign key from a specific table. Okay, so let's create our table. So create table. So our table will be called sales. Okay, and what do I want? So first things first, every table needs to have its own primary key. So I'm just going to create this one over here, which is the primary key for that table. Okay, cool. Now I want a customer ID to be in my sales table, and I also want product ID to be in my sales table. So how do we do that? Okay, so let's first start with the product ID. So product ID. So we need to make sure that the way we name it over there is the same as how we name it over here. So you can see that it's the same. Okay, and then so let me just okay, I just wanted some space for the other one, but I don't think that worked. But anyway, so product ID. Okay, cool. And then the data type must also be the same. So if it's varchar 2 with the length of 30 over there, then I'm just going to copy that. Then it should be the same also over here. So this must be the same, okay, as that. Okay, and then we're gonna say not null, okay, like we always do. Then we're gonna say comma, okay. And now that's when our constraints start. So now we're going to say constraint, okay? And we're going to name our constraint. So what are we going to call our constraint? So normally I would advise that you name your constraint based on what the column name is. That way it's easier to identify. Okay, so let's just say prod ID. Okay, so product ID. So just make sure that you kind of separate it, because if you still call it product ID, you're not going to know whether or not you're referring to the column or you're referring to the constraint. Okay, so prod ID for product ID, that's the name of the constraint. And next thing, you're going to say that no, this is a foreign key. Okay, so it's a foreign key. So what's the foreign key? The foreign key is the product ID, right? You guys still following? So the foreign key is the product ID. So I'm just gonna do this on a new line so that we don't have to go back and forth. Okay, so product ID is the foreign key. Okay, but what does it reference? So it references, okay, it references product. Okay, so and then what in product does it reference? The product ID. So I'm going to re-explain this again. Then you put your comma. Okay. So basically what this is, this whole statement over here, I'm creating a column called product ID with that data type not null, which is the same as that over there, okay, from the product table, okay, but now it's a constraint. So we have to name the constraint. So what is the name of the constraint? The name of the constraint is prod ID, okay. Then we say that, okay, it's a foreign key, right? But what is the foreign key? The foreign key is the product ID, right? Which is the product ID. What does it reference? It references what table? It references the product table, which is this table over here, right? And in the product table, that product ID is the one that we're creating to be the foreign key. So I really hope this makes sense. So let's look at another example in terms of the customer. So I also want us to add customer ID from the customer table. So we have customer ID with the data type number. So again, it must be the same. So customer ID, right, with the data type number, not null, right? Now we're going to say constraint. Okay, then we're going to name the constraint. So I'm just going to say cust ID. Okay, then we're going to say foreign key. So what's the foreign key? The foreign key is the customer ID. Okay, and the customer ID references, okay, so it references the customer table. In the customer table, we are collecting the customer ID. Just like that. It's really just so simple, like really, really simple. Okay, so do make sure that your constraints are never the same. Okay, so if you said prod ID over there, you can't say prod ID again, because it has to be unique to that specific constraint. Okay, and then the last two tables, the last two columns that I want is sales date, which will be a data type not null, and the last one will be quantity. Ooh. Okay, number not null. Okay, and that is our table. Okay, so now if we run our table, just gonna increase, let me just close that part. Okay, so if I just select that part and I just run it, then it should say table sales created. Okay, so now inserting data into that table. So again, you insert into sales. Okay, and then we're gonna say values. Okay, so the first one, just want it to be 500. Then we're gonna have A500. Okay, so we're just going to run our insert statement and it should say one row inserted. Okay, so in order to see our tables, we have our customer table that we've just created, right? And we've inserted two datas in there. And then the other table that we just created is the sales table, and we just added one set of data. So if you go under the constraints, right, then it will show you the constraints that we have mentioned. Okay, so if you just select constraints over there, it will say that customer ID, that's the constraint name, remember, and the product ID, which is foreign keys, and it's coming from the customer table and the product table. Okay, so all that is just not null, and then we just have primary keys, and yeah, so that's not really important. I just wanted to show you guys this part to say that, okay, it references the customer table and it references the product table, and that's the constraint names that we created, cust ID as well as prod ID, and we can see that it's foreign keys. Okay, so basically that is how you guys use constraints. So I will go through it again one last time. Okay, so let me just create some space. Okay, so product ID, right, is the column that you want to reference from the product table. So you have your product ID, your data type, not null, then your constraint, right, and then you have the name of the constraint. So it needs to be specific to that specific constraint. So product ID, which is a foreign key. What is the foreign key? The foreign key is the product ID, which is that column that we're calling, or that column that we're creating. And we have our references keyword. What is it referencing? It's referencing the product table. And in the product table, what are we fetching? We are fetching the product ID column. Same with customer. Customer ID, data type, not null. Constraint, the name of the constraint. Foreign key, customer ID is the foreign key. It references the customer table. And what are we collecting from the customer table? The customer ID. So that's how you use constraints. I hope this video made sense. Yeah, I hope this video makes sense. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. Please leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what you guys think. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell for more videos like this. Thank you guys so much for watching.